Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Trying to still get everything set up just a little bit as I get started. I hope everybody is having fuck me in my fingers. Hope everybody is having a grand night. I'm trying to send this out to a few people, and sometimes my fingers like to get fumbly. I hope that you guys are doing good. We're going to do what we always do and talk about early hominins. We're not only here in TikTok, but I'm also over in on YouTube. I'm trying to get my camera set up to where you can see me in both spaces okay, and it's a little bit weird, so I do ask a little bit of patience as I'm trying to get everything set up, and I'm trying to do a few different things that aren't working very well. And so as I'm trying to do these things that aren't working very well, I'm taking a hot moment to get things to go the way I want them to go. But I want you to be able to see me on both spaces pretty well, and like I'm looking at you at the same time. I don't think that works as well as I wanted it to. Yay. So we are working on that. If you're on YouTube and you can't see me as well, I apologize. I'm trying to get it to where it screens on both at the same time with the same camera, but the program that I'm trying to use is not working, so I'm trying to Luddite my way through it and contact support. So hopefully we'll get to a point where we have that. We're going to go ahead and discuss a couple of our normal things tonight, and just keep going with it. And we're going to I'm going to start trying to turn some of these into, that's just really rude. I'm not even sure why you would state something like that. So because of how crazy it gets in here, often we have to turn off comments. So I want to let you know, this is not a subscriber only live, or a subscriber comment only live. So we will have comment access for everybody tonight. I just blocked them. It's not all I talk about. It might be all you walk through, but it's not all I talk about. We have several other lives. We just got done talking about Naladi. We also talked last live about religion, which is also up on my YouTube. We just, as long as there are people who are walking in and want to listen and want to stay, then we'll continue talking about it. When it starts being something that's attracting people, then we'll stop talking about it, right? And mainly that's because it's information that I'm trying to share. When people are no longer, finding the information, right? When it's no longer being shared, then it's no longer worthy. But as long as it's attracting people, right, then it's information to share. So, but if you look, and all of my lives are going straight to YouTube right now, so you can find my lives on YouTube. But if you look, the last live was, the last live was a completely different subject. The last live that we did, I can even show you the picture for the last live that we did. This just happens to be where you pop in. This just happens to be how, you're coming across it. But that's not how it always is. This one is up on YouTube, right? This is the last live that we did, right? So this one just happens to be about Homo erectus. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get back to the subject. And again, we're talking about this subject because it's a subject of interest. People want to know. And also because as we talk about this subject, we get to debunk race. We get to kind of, I didn't realize I got something on my shirt. We get to kind of, show what science is. We get to teach a whole bunch of different subjects, and all of them are positive for the forward movement, right? It's up on YouTube, Gong. Everything is now directly, like I'm recording to YouTube directly now as I'm doing this one. So everything is directly going up there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off and we'll go ahead and get, oh, yes. So I have settled down a schedule of when I'm going to go live for both an AM and a PM. So we're going to do AM lives roughly around 8 a.m., though tomorrow I already have appointments. It'll be 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings. And I will put up live events so you know when they're coming up. And then we're going to do 2 PM lives a week at 8 p.m. as well, like this one tonight. This is 8 p.m. my time. And we'll be doing those most likely on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday for the AM. Sorry if I said Monday. And then Monday and Thursday, or Monday and Wednesday for the PM. Uh, one of each of these one AM and 1 PM live a week will be sub only comments. And then 1 AM and 1 PM live a week will be open comments for periods of times. But we are going to go ahead and iron it down at that. I've kind of gone through my schedule and try to figure out where I can do it best and where I can put myself in a responsible way without feeling like I'm too responsible in a time when I'm working on not feeling as responsible. So we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and put out events on those so that it is known. And I'll go ahead and put up a video that has a reoccurring on it so that people can see, so that everybody knows. And from now on, all lives are being streamed to YouTube. I am setting it up to where I can stream to both at the same time through one camera. But until I do, I'm streaming on 2 different cameras. Um, It'll get there. It is a venture. It is a venture. All of it is a venture. And also, I have figured out a way to, hey, Obsidian, I have figured out a way to actually record longer videos, not quite getting what I want out of it, but getting enough out of it. So I will be putting each of the species down into one kind of 10-minute video. Can't really do it with a 3-minute video, just not enough space. And so I'll try and get each of them down to a 10-minute video, which will be both here and on YouTube. With all of that, again, or turn back on the comments later. It's very distracting for me. It's very distracting for people in here trying to learn. But I do believe questions are important. And so I will absolutely be turning back on the comments later so that people can ask any questions that they have based on what has happened. Usually I will go through Homo erectus itself, and then we'll just pause and I'll take questions, and then we'll talk about different species, and then I'll pause and I'll take questions. Hominoid species do we know of? I wouldn't know what the number is. I would say it's upwards of at least 50. And we're finding a whole bunch of new ones all the time. We're such a leap forward in the field right now. Such a leap forward in the field right now. And Lee Berger, when he did his Naladi presentation the other day, was actually stating that as well, that we are at this pinnacle point of archaeology and anthropology where the new testing capabilities that we have, like they just figured out how to use proteins to test instead of DNA to test for timeline and for family and for species, right? They just figured that out within the last couple of years. Lee was talking about it, not Lee. Maybe it was the Neanderthal one. I have 2 YouTubes actually that I'm posting. I'm going to have a whole new tab on the link tree that is YouTube to watch, lecture series, and different speakers to watch. And so, okay, so I'll go ahead and turn this off because it looks to me like it's getting to where it needs to be actually. Kind of, we'll put it on sub onlys for a hot second. So I'll have in the link tree, I'll have a link that has YouTube lectures that are being posted about different things, different faucets. And we'll just, kind of go from there. But it will give a little bit more information. There was one that I was watching, though, that was talking about the fact that they have these protein tests now that they're doing that are going to really take us a leap forward into a space where we're going to see that we're going to find so much more information because DNA is not valuable, but doesn't hold up as well. Doesn't hold up as well, right? And so it's really going to set us forward. So moving on in, I also want to state that it's very important to me that I always adapt my shit when new information is coming out. Um, and I always try and be accountable, right? And it doesn't necessarily be have to be new information coming out as in an article that came out this year, but it can be an article that came out from 2010 and I haven't seen it because I am not all knowledgeable. I do not have vast resources, both physically, mentally vast resources, or financially vast resources, or time vast resources, right? So I am not all knowledgeable. And as I move along, I will, correct things. And so there will be a little bit of stuff that we'll see tonight, even that is going to be not quite different from what I've talked, but we'll kind of go deeper into some of the things that I've said before to kind of give them a better understanding. So, what we're going to start with is why. I am an archaeologist. I was a radiographer before. I'm Indigenous raised, and I did Indigenous medicine and medicine for the first part of my life. I went to Iraq in '03. I am a disabled war vet. I have a degree in archaeology, and I seek to teach and impart knowledge because I feel that we live in a society where we have knowledge gate kept behind for $40,000 a year. And we live in a society where we gatekeep it even further with language and understanding. And I have read paragraphs that are, 10 friggin' $20 words, right? That even I with vast degrees and or several degrees and a vast vocabulary and learning to read in archaeology and anthropology books as a child, even I can't understand some of them, right? It makes it hard to understand. And so I want to impart the or the information that I have in the way that it was imparted to me that I could understand. Um, I'm not trying to give you new facts and understandings in a lot of ways. I do give my twist and my understanding, but mainly I'm just regurgitating shit I was taught, and stuff that I've read, and then maybe compiling it all together in my own head as to what it might mean because of my own background. My own background, besides being Indigenous, is extremely multicultural, with the exception of the United States culture, because while I grew up within its borders, I didn't grow up within its culture because I lived in mountains or in small communities or in different spaces that were not its culture. Um, and so that different perspective sometimes gives me different perspective. With that, paleoanthropology is one of my focuses and my loves. It has been one of my focuses and my love since I was like, I remember my grandmother had a book, one of those old tabletop books on Neanderthals. And when I lived with her when I was 12 for a summer, or stayed with her when I was 12 for a summer, I read that thing like back and forth and front to back. That and William Shakespeare, they were my favorite things. And so when I found paleoanthropology again as an adult, after always keeping really a good eye on it, I really kind of dove deeply into it. My other focus is Europe and Western Eurasia, pre-Christian colonization. So during more indigenous timeframes. But what I teach in here for the most part is paleoanthropology. I do teach the pre-Christian colonization Europe. That's part of that last slide or that last picture I had up. So currently chat is off in my live because of the fact that chat on in my live is painful for every person involved. It is amazing to me and everybody I know how many trolls end up in my lives. Science seems to be harmful to people. But YouTube, you can chat on. It's nwitaord as well. Same spelling, just no periods. That is also in the link tree in my bio. You're welcome to go over there and talk. It just puts an extra step to make sure you're not being a trolly asshole. But I will also open up for questions. Also, I am blunt and I'm forthright. And so you'll see that. Homo erectus really starts with science. And what is science for me? Science observation might mean, and when I think I tried that gong, that's the one I'm having a problem with. Gong is OBS. If you can help me figure out OBS, I'm down, but I can't get OBS to Twitch or to TikTok. I can't get OBS to TikTok. Anyways, so you see that science is I observe in nature, and by that observation, I think of what that might be. And by that thinking of what it might be, I make a prediction of what it is. And then I test that. And if my testing fails, then I return to my thought of what it might be, which is my hypothesis. If my testing true proves true, then I move to theory. Theory is something that has been proven by fact, proven by testing, and the testing must be retested. This is something that we get into a lot when we talk about things like uh, what is it? Graham Norton. Is it Graham Norton? I don't want to say it's Graham Norton. I think it's Graham something else. Anyways, whatever. Ancient apocalypse theory, or a theory being replicatable, testing based is something that's very important with science. And so if I have a theory, I continue to test. Thank you, Graham Hancock. Graham Norton is an actual archaeologist. And that's why I was like, because I was thinking of the difference between the two, because I have lectures that Graham Norton has done, who I love, versus Graham Hancock, who I'm like, fuck off, you white supremacist asswipe. But anyways, back to um, testing must be replicated. If testing is not replicatable, and it cannot prove. It is not proof unless you can replicate it, right? If it's just, I did this test in my garage and now I'm telling you I did the test, it's not proof. So theory itself, though, must be retested. And most of the time, this is in every action and interaction that you have with theory. So if your testing is flint napping, then every time you nap your flint, it's retesting it. So this is how we see that theory is something that is proven by fact. And theory is something that's constantly being retested. And when those tests stop working, theory becomes debunked and it fails. So, and then we go back to our hypothesis stage. We see that Homo erectus is one of the first to really have that ability of science. Homo habilis most likely has it as well. We see Homo habilis has stone tools. Stone tools are going to be a result of that process, right? I see stones, and if they fall together, I saw this big stone fall on this glassy looking stone and it shattered a chunk out of it. Wow, I wonder what I could do with that. I saw what happened. That means that big rock hit that stone, that small rock, and it flaked. That's my hypothesis, right? My prediction is I bet I can make a tool out of that. And so now I hit that big rock against that shiny glass stone a few times. And if it tests out, if it proves true, then I have an early flint knap tool, right? And then each time I redo it, I'm repeating the test, right? That spark that takes it further, we see in Homo erectus. So repeating the test and the test still works. Absolutely, right? But when you have other elements or other new things coming in, you want to start using other tests too, right? And that's where we see Homo erectus takes Homo habilis's tools from the Older One tool complex into the Acheulean hand axe complex, which is your first use of science taking this into the next step. Using new knowledge to create new testing, to create new ideas, to create new tools. So Homo erectus starts with the Acheulean hand axe, and they pretty much stay with the Acheulean hand axe the vast majority of their time. After they start mixing with some other species or living alongside some other species that they kind of procreate into, you do see that some of them change, but they're still associated with the other species within that. I keep remembering that tracks with me. So when we see that, one second, I need to stop something. Okay. When we see that Homo erectus is really using science early on in their speciation. You see, Homo erectus started about 2 million years ago. And recently we saw this big article and this big flash about how there was this find of a tooth at 1.8 million years ago outside of Africa, maybe gray, and how this find of a tooth at 1.8 million years ago outside of Africa was this. Oh, I can believe that. I started it first. That's weird. I wonder if I can refresh it. We see that Homo erectus